Hello, welcome to our presentation for Homework 1 for CPSC 544 Advanced Software Process at Cal State Fullerton Fall 2012 semester. Our team is Team Xtreme and our team members are myself, Vishal Raute, Mahmood Zakiri, Alan Shintaku, Jason Frederick, and Terence Howard. Here is the overview of what we will be discussing during our presentation. I will start with the vision and goals for our project. Next, Mahmood will talk about our Agile process. Alan will talk about the different tools we have used during our project. Jason will explain in detail the Android development. And Terence will conclude with the lessons learned. Our goal for the project was to develop our own Agile process and implement that process to develop an Android application. Our vision was to develop a user-friendly Android application which would exceed the user's expectations. This application would enable the user to input integer values and search for a particular value. Our application would then inform the user if the value was found and at what location in the array. If the value was not found, we would inform the user accordingly. Our vision was to develop this application in the specified time allocated to us and with zero defects. Next, Mahmood will explain our Agile process in detail.
Hello. In our first meeting, we created the initial product backlog based on the requirements. Each sprint lasted 1 week. We had 2 meetings weekly, covering all of our communications and plannings. During each sprint, we had a review meeting and demonstrated the functionality we added in that sprint, as well as discussion of any opportunities for improvement in the next sprint. Each member of the team documented their progress and any potential issues we did discover. Any potential issues were resolved quickly either by email or Team's Facebook group page. Alan would elaborate more on Scrum meetings later. Each developer were required to document the expected behavior and test plan for a ticket prior to starting development. Then the Scrum Master did test the tickets and mark them as QA verified. Developers did communicate and integrate their code daily. Terms was responsible for integrating the team members' code. Continued integration and communication reduced the chance of merge conflicts. Jason, the team lead, provided the weekly meeting notes. A working version of the project was released for each iteration. Working application source code was zipped up for each iteration along with the presentation and report and provided to Dr. Joe. Thank you.
We used a variety of tools to help us stay organized and in touch. We used Jira for project management, we used Skype and Facebook to communicate, and we used Google Docs and Dropbox to collaborate. Jira is a web-based project management system that's designed for and pretty well suited for the Agile development process. It has a lot of tools to help teams keep track of and estimate time for issues. This is a sample issue. You can see it tracks a lot of things such as priority, work status. It also allows attachments, screenshots, other things, and also comments to be added as well. Jira also provides a variety of charts to help track both projects and sprints. Here you can see a roadmap of our project broken into 3 sprints. These charts are pretty useful for tracking progress and time estimations. There's a lot of other charts that can be used as well. Skype is a voice over IP program that allows users to make conference calls using an internet connection. We use this program to communicate during our bi-weekly meetings. In addition to voice and video, it also offers text chat and screen sharing. All these features are very useful when collaborating and planning over long distances. We use Facebook as well. We created a group page. This allows us to communicate effectively with everyone as well as keep a good record of our correspondence. Google Documents is a web-based document collaboration and editing tool. As I mentioned before, it allows multiple users to simultaneously edit and instantly displays any changes made by other users. Combined with Skype, this greatly simplified our content creation and review process. Dropbox is a cloud-based file repository. Works just like a normal file system. It allows the team to have a central location for retrieving and storing files, and automatically synchronizes the shared folders across everyone that is shared with. It was very useful for storing and sharing commonly accessed files, and also useful as a version control system during development. We used it to store all our trunks and branches.
We went through 3 iterations of Android development. For each sprint, we came up with user stories and assigned them to specific developers. We used the Eclipse Juno IDE and the Android 4.1 software development kit. Our developers reviewed samples to get familiar with Android development, and for the first iteration, we developed an application framework that we built off of on the continuing iterations, and also implemented the binary search algorithm. As you can see on the application on the right, we're entering numbers into an array, then we're following on with 0 to transition to the key value, then we're choosing a key value of 12, and that's searched in the application, and the result is displayed in a separate activity. Our second iteration involved updating the graphical user interface layout. We added a command line look and feel to the array input, as well as implemented error messages such as duplicate entry found. The user can enter commas or spaces to distinguish between the different array values. However, the user cannot enter values greater than 100, and the user cannot enter values less than 0 due to the disabled negative key. We also implemented flow control to distinguish the array value input from the key value input. The key value input is shown once the user enters 0 to leave the array input, and the array input is disabled or grayed out. We also added the results below the key value input, rather than in a separate activity. The user enters 0 to transition to the key value, and the key value search is requested. The user enters 58, which is found in the indexed array. We also added a new configuration management layout in Dropbox, which improved our source code control. Our third and final iteration involved adding a welcome screen upon immediately starting our application. The user can click to transition immediately to the array input, or wait a small amount of time for the application to automatically transition. The delete key was also implemented, which allows the user to remove an array input such as 77 and add a new value such as 78 in its place. The return key was also implemented to transition the array input to the key value input. However, it still follows that you must have a minimum amount of 8 numbers to transition properly, as well as you cannot exceed 12. Once the key value is entered, the array input is automatically sorted. The search is completed, and the application exits. Now Terrence will talk about our lessons learned.
Lessons learned. Lesson learned number 1, writing user stories. We had a late start generating our user stories prior to our first iteration. This caused a time constraint for development in our first iteration. A proposed resolution would be to start writing our user stories earlier in the process to give us more development time. Lessons learned number 2, integration of code. A process assigned one person at the end of each iteration to merge all the code from all the completed stories from all of the developers to perform a baseline that would be used in the next iteration. This ended up being extremely difficult since multiple developers were modifying the same elements as described in lessons learned number 3. We even found some changes were inadvertently missed during the integration periods. A proposed resolution would be for each developer to integrate their own code into the baseline version, which in turn would create a new baseline version for the next developer. Lessons learned number 3, development of GUI elements. In our first iteration, we assigned multiple developers stories that affected the same GUI elements. This was very difficult to merge at the end of each iteration. A proposed resolution would be to assign all the GUI elements in the same iteration to the same developer, or have the GUI elements take place on different iterations. This completes the Team Xtreme's Homework Number 1 presentation for the CPS 544 Advanced Software Process. Thank you for your time.